King Sega game, a creepypasta by Shadow Vixen, also known as aka Phantom Fox 77. There are so many creepypastas out there about haunted video games and things of that nature. I've read them and always just passed them off as just that. Fake, stupid creepypasta stories. Though they were very entertaining, I never expected something similar to happen to me. It seems like the worst things always tend to happen to those most unsuspecting and cynical, doesn't it? Well, I was at a time of disappointment in my life and became very ill and forced to drop out of college. I hated having my dreams put on hold, and I've been suffering from a mild case of depression because of it. But there was still a comfort that can only come from being back home that reasserted me a bit. But there was still the boredom I had to deal with. No job, no college, and I had to say it, but little friends. Most still in college themselves, made each day drag by. The days spent watching TV and old VHS movies in that familiar living room gave me some inspiration to find a way to ease my ever increasing tedium. My cheap VHS and DVD library had jolted down to only my old, worn-out Disney movies left unwatched. So I decided to watch one of my all-time favorites, The Lion King. The colorful, cute lion cubs remind me of a almost forgotten piece of my past. It was the old 1994 Lion King PC video game I used to play constantly as a child. My mom and I used to spend hours trying to win that old game. The flood of old memories sent me walking to my old bedroom to the ancient computer that still sat on a desk in a corner. I'd been so proud of that old computer when I first bought it. At the age of 11, I saved up enough of my allowances to buy it myself. It was heartwarming to see the old start screen and hearing the old jingle as Windows XP started up. The big old complex pre-serial grown to life, and I clicked the start button to search for my old games. Saw that the game folder was barren and empty. This morning, I walked in to ask my mom what happened to all our games. She looked a little sad, but I seen dissatisfaction in my eyes. She told me since I had purchased a brand new laptop a month or so ago, my dad was going to sell the old computer. He had taken all the old games and documents and removed them. She then suggested I ask my dad if he saved any of them. Later that night, my dad returned from his job at the factory, tired and worn. He flopped on the couch to do what he did to relax, look up stuff on his laptop. So I walk over and ask him what the fate of my childhood memories had been. He regretted to say that he didn't think I would care about them anymore and had deleted them. I was clearly saddened by that. I hadn't been really looking forward to skydiving to an ocean mix nostalgia. I needed to see this little girl, 19 years of her, upset. He said he'd go online and try to download as many of the old games as he could from freeware sites and things of that nature. Luckily, my dad did find and download the 1994 Lion King Sega game, my all-time favorite. Now, this game isn't like the modern Disney games out there. It wasn't a babyish activity center or storybook game. It was a story, yes, but it was an action game. The gist of it was that you started out as young Simba as he defeats innocent villains and animals such as chameleons, porcupines, frogs, spiders, vultures, and the harder villains, hyenas. Young Simba could defeat these adversaries by simply jumping on them, except the porcupines. He had to growl to flip them over, then jump on them. Older Simba was oddly more violent. He could slash, maul, and flip his enemies, sometimes even showing small amounts of blood flying from them with each hit. Nothing gory, and you could never see any injuries on his enemies, but at the age of 4, that seems like major carnage. The next morning, I was glad to have the whole house to myself to play the game again. My dad was at work, and my mom was off to Lexington, Kentucky to help my almost 80-year-old grandma. It was something like this that it pays to have no siblings, so I got a bowl of M&Ms and some sweet tea and retreated to my room for a day. My dad has installed the game into the bulky old gray and black computer tonight, but hadn't seen if it had worked out or not. I pray it did as I click on the file. It worked to my delight when I saw the grainy startup screen. A picture of Pride Rock with Rafiki holding up baby Simba. I pressed enter to start the game. Timon appeared on the screen and said the old familiar words. It starts. I worked my way through the colorful levels with ease. I remember every trick and bonus. Everything went well, and I was having good old-fashioned fun like I used to as a kid. I made it to the last level, the Pride Rock level, where adult Simba battles Scar. I'm halfway through the game, battling Scar two of the 3 times, and killing up hyena after hyena. I was having a perfect game until I made one mistake. I misjudged a jump and missed the platform I was aiming for, sending Simba plunging into the darkness in between. That's when things started to go wrong, as I was just fading to black and starting the level all over like it was supposed to do. The screen began flashing random colors, mainly red, black, and purple. And it's something that isn't supposed to be in the game. I should know. I played 100 times and memorized every part of it. It sounds was from the movie. It was from the infamous Stampede scene where Mufasa fell to his doom. It was someone scream, "No!" Then there was a screeching sound so loud I jumped and turned down my speakers. I figured that this was just a hack version of the game, and so I thought it would make the game better add sound clips from the movie. But then, instead of return to the level I was on, the game restarted from the beginning. That made me annoyed, since I got it so far, but then the startup screen changed. It's not the cheery screen I remember from my childhood, or from 2 seconds ago, for that matter. It was dark, blurry, and uncolored. Red, black, and blue. It almost looked like a nice shot from the original screen, but I thought it might just be a glitch and press start. Anyway, instead of Timon saying his normal phrase, there was a strip of red writing which seemed to flash and twist on the screen. It said a code that I recognized and actually love. The boundaries which divide life from death are at best shadowy and vague. Who shall say where the one ends and the other begins? A quote from my favorite author, Edgar Allan Poe. I was actually a little happy to see my favorite quote, but couldn't help but feel a little uneasy. Why was it on a Disney game? And I knew for sure it didn't belong there, but I played it anyway. The first level was all wrong. First off, I had no lives left when I should have had 8, and the sky was pitch black. The first level was usually a cheery, sunny level. First of all, young cub Simba was lying down in an unnatural crumpled position. He was bloody and shaking. It wasn't the Disney norm at all. For the heck of it, I tried to move him with the arrow keys, and he reached his arm out slowly and dragged himself along the ground, leaving a trail of crimson blood behind him, like a slug leave a trail of slime. The progression was slow, but the crisp autumn weather outside made me excited for Halloween, so I decided to try and play this disturbed version of my favorite game. When I needed to jump the half-dead lion cub jump almost like normal, except each jump he lost a body part. The bloody part of him fell into the crevice he was jumping. Each jump made our crumpled hero bloodier and bloodier. At the end of the level, the hyena was different too. His eyes glowed red, and he looked as if he'd been slashed multiple times. I teamed him with 2 jumps, just in time as Simba's last leg fell off. I wonder what awaited me on the next level, as the first one faded to black. The "I can't wait to be king" level was upside down and seemed to be melting on the screen, as well as being darker colored than it should. Someone's back to the original state he was on the first disturbed level. He dragged along as he made his way to the rhino. He jumped on the rhino's head, his tail falling off along the way, and the rhino flipped him up into the trees, into the arms of the monkeys. This is the part when Simba was supposed to jump on the heads of giraffes over water to the other side. But there was a problem. The giraffes were beheaded, bloodily, amazingly, disgustingly detailed. I could see the bones sticking out. I thought, whoever hacked this game had even more of a dark side than me. But I wonder how battered Simba could have get across the water, which was in this version red blood. But he jumped from giraffe to giraffe by clinging to the necks. The blood made him slip off quickly, so I had to jump quicker and quicker to keep from falling in the water. Later in the level, the officer he's supposed to ride was beheaded and skinned with frightening realism. It looked more like a photo I had seen taken at fur farms of dead animals. The officer lurched in an distorted way as it ran. The rest of the level was about the same. The monkeys beheaded and the tree on fire, and Sam called for the upside down madness. As the level faded, the screeching sound returned as well as something completely unexpected. It was Mufasa's face, but instead of the gold color he should be, he was black and his eyes glowed green. He opened his mouth and said in a hissing voice, "Scars is innocent. It was me." What did that mean? Was this twisted game trying to pass off that Mufasa was too hard, so I was supposed to have let go of the cliff I proposed? I don't know why, but I was disturbed by that thought. Don't be stupid, I thought. Don't let a stupid game make you upset about fictional cartoon lions. This is the nervousness I was experiencing. I continue to the Elven Graveyard level. This one was right side up. Thank goodness. And Zim was surprisingly normal. Standing up straight like he's supposed to. Maybe the actor got bored and decided to leave this level alone. My thoughts were proven wrong as soon as I fought them. The Elephant Graveyard was strangely devoid of life. No hyenas came to attack me like they were supposed to. I just thought of that as an easy out and began to run for the game. As I moved, I realized it wasn't going to be that easy. I screamed loudly through the speakers in the monitor, not just the screen. But the whole monitor shook. That freaked me out, but I figured it was probably just a vibrating from the loudness of the screams. Anyway, I had a new fainting word about the ground of Sushi crumpling under Simba's feet. I had to keep running through the desolate graveyard to keep from falling to the unknown black below me. As I ran, I noticed that the spots that were supposed to have hyenas instead had bloody skinned corpses instead. And the same hissing voice of Mufasa I heard before it sounded as I passed each one. Death is cruel to the just and the unjust. He repeated over and over as the scream built louder and louder behind it. Then the whole monitor started shaking again and more violently. Then very realistic blood started dripping down the screen. So realistic. I was tempted to reach out and touch it. I indulged in my temptation and was petrified as my finger became covered in sticky crimson blood. As can be expected, I screamed and ran from the room. I ran to the bathroom and slammed the door shut. My hands were trembling as I reached for the light switch. I have half expected that distorted Mufasa face to be in front of me as I flipped on the light. Of course it wasn't. So I just sat down and curled into a ball. I suddenly hated being alone. I yearned for my parents to come home. It didn't help that I could still hear that scream from the other room. My room, where I had to sleep. As frightened as I was, I decided I had to go back and turn off that game. So I mustered up whatever courage was left in me and walked slowly back into the room. I was almost afraid to turn and look at the computer in the dark corner of the room. But when I did, I saw the blood was gone. Maybe I had just let the disturbing game get to my head and I hallucinated the blood. I mean, it was just a game, right? Weirdest still is that the game had paused on its own, as if it had known that I had fled the room. Maybe in my panic, I had hit the enter button on the keyboard and just hadn't know it, but I didn't remember it. Then thought was proven false as soon as my bottom made contact with the seat, for as soon as I sat down, the game started up. The screaming, thankfully, stopped for the time being, and curiosity was urging me to keep going. I knew my dad would take away the defective game off as soon as he heard about it, so it was my only chance to see what happened next. So I kept going. I finished the complete Elephant Graveyard level and prepared for the Stampede level and whatever dark twist was next. But to my surprise, everything was normal in this level. The sky was blue, and the rocky canyon was a bright tan, just as I remember it. Half of me was thankful, and the other half, the darker half I had from most people, was bored. It was at the end of the level that things changed. After Simba escaped the wildebeest, the screen cut to MLG Banjo Black M abruptly, and then continued to play the scene from the movie. Well, sort of. It was the scene where Mufasa was climbing up the rocks after saving Simba from the stampede. But then something different happened. It got to Simba, staring at his dad, struggling to climb up the canyon. This scene wasn't in the movie fruit. It was animated in just as good quality as the real movie. Someone was crying as if he knew his dad wasn't going to make it. Something realistically. He then stopped suddenly. He turned his face toward the screen. His eyes were empty, emotionless, as he stared at me. Then he stood up and walked forward. The camera angle switched to behind him and revealed what he was walking to. The edge. The cliff. What is this? I can only watch in horror as he just walked off the cliff to the stampede below. And the screen cut to Mufasa's face. He saw it. He saw Simba fall to his death. His eyes were filled with tears, and he looked up at his brother, Scar. He grinning down at him. What are you going to do, brother? Scar asked earnestly, his eyes glowing an odd red and his palms dripping with blood. What have you to live for? Nothing, Mufasa answered, then turned his face to the screen. No one does. Then he let go of the cliff and fell. Then showed Scar laughing, his face slowly morphing into a hideous skull, a piece of flesh clinging to it. His eyes started to drip blood as the screen faded black around the skull. Then he whispered, "It's treated for you too, Heather." Then chuckled and disappeared. Once again, I found myself running from the room, this time in hysterics. If I thought I was trembling before then, this was my own personal earthquake. In the bathroom, I ended up vomiting into the toilet. Then I just sat down, whispering, "It's not real. It's not real." Tears ran down my face like the blood had from the scars. How did that game just say my name? That's not normal. Not right. But I was the adult in this house at the time. It was up to me to go back into that room and turn that demonic game off immediately. So I stomped into my room angrily. I will not let a game, control me. I glared toward the screen and noticed that Scar was gone. I was standing there on the Simba's Excel level, very normal looking, even had the appropriate sound for the game. Once again, curiosity got the better of me, and I dismissed the movie clip as my imagination getting the better of me. So I continued to play the level. I was stupid, I know that now, but I wasn't one to get freaked out that easily over things like that. I was the type who craves scary things. Loved them, so I played the game with a cautious but curious attitude. I was just waiting for something else strange to happen. Not hoping for it like before, more like watching a video online and waiting for the screamer. The level was perfectly normal. Whoever hacked this game had a twisted sense of humor, I thought, really. Leading to a false sense of security, then freaking you out in a whole new way. I knew it was coming. But I just still jumped when it happened. The Simba's Excel level ended normally as the hyenas watched someone escape through the forest yelling, "If you ever come back, we'll kill ya!" But it happened. Something freaky. The Hakuna Matata level started, but Simba couldn't move. It was like the game was lock up, except he was moving. Not running like I want him to, but shaking his head over and over again, as if he was trying to shake the bad thoughts from his head. Then suddenly, he looked straight ahead, then fell to the ground. Like he passed out, only his eyes rolled out of his head and across the green jungle grass. Then the image just twisted in on itself and faded to black. Then abruptly, it switched directly to the next level. Skipping Hakuna Matata completely, it would only seem fitting that a game as dark as this skipped the happiest level. So now Simba is adult. There was the level representing him going to night to see Rafiki. As an adult, he had his new powers of slashing and mauling. I mentioned before the brief mild violence that normally was in the adult Simba levels, though this is much, much worse. When Simba mauled a leopard was ripped to pieces, and his body was left in a bloody mess. the pieces piled on top of each other. Each one he killed off was murdered in the same merciless, violent way. I should have known something like that was coming. Then at the end of the end, when he found Rikiki at the pool of water, and Mufasa appeared in the sky, Simba started shaking. Not rudely, but in a pattern. Sob sounded and beat to the shakes. Then Mufasa reached out and opened his mouth wide, and Simba just walked in and disappeared. Rikiki then looked at to the screen and whispered, "The secret of life is a lie. I'll die. I'll perish. Your time is drawing near." At least he didn't say my name again. That was a relief. The game skipped 2 whole levels, and I found myself at the start of the last level, Pride Rock. It seemed normal until I moved Simba forward. Instead of immediately fighting Scar as he is supposed to, he just ran through the empty level. No hyenas, no fire, no Scar. It was like this until I got to the very top of Pride Rock, where Simba and Scar are supposed to have their final battle. I was shocked at who was waiting at the top. Mufasa? He didn't even have a character in the game. I wondered for a second if I was supposed to fight him. He was Simba's father, after all. But Mufasa leaped onto Simba and began to maul him, violently ripping off Simba's right foreleg. He flung the leg of Pride Rock. I moved Simba and he hobbled to his dad and jumped, mauling him as well. The battle was pretty even. Mufasa and Simba ripping off piece after piece of each other. After about 10 minutes of fighting, I lost control of them. Nothing I did affected the fight. They were fighting on their own now. Suddenly Simba jumped onto his father, causing them both to result off the edge of Pride Rock to their doom. Then the scream flashed several times. The scream returned, and the screen switched to a very realistic picture of Mufasa and Simba's mangled bodies lying in a heap under Pride Rock. Then the screen twisted on itself again, and Scar's skull appeared in front of the picture. I see when the skull spoke. "Heather, Satan lives in the depths of each good soul. You can't escape him. You can't fight him. God before he tears you apart." Then the screen flashed and showed a new picture. It was me, sitting in front of the screen. Then the computer went black and shut off. As much as I tried, the computer wouldn't turn on again. I still can't get it to turn on. Every night I see those images. I hear those words, "Give up before he tears you apart." Sometimes in the middle of the night, I look at the computer and that skull is there on the screen. I can feel something in my house now. It's present. My mother and father can feel it. Your innocence hasn't been taken from them as mine has. This is why I'm writing this. My dream had turned to nightmares. My sweet memories into traumatizing ones. Nothing is left of me anymore. I'm going to take Scar's advice. These are my last words. And I feel compelled to ask you, what are you going to do? What do you have to live for? So that was The Lion King Sega game creepypasta by Shadow Vixen, aka Phantom Fox 77. And my final thoughts, this is actually surprisingly a pretty great creepypasta in my opinion. So, and also about the why am I reading this version instead of the one that pretty much came out back in like somewhere in 2015 or 2014. I forgot what's the date for that creepypasta. Where they actually literally have to have the Nazi references and the good ending, but surprisingly, I think it's actually felt better without the Nazi jokes and the Nazi references and the pretty good ending. I think it just felt pretty dark on its own, like especially the ending, like dreams can't become nightmares, and it's just so freaking crazy that this creepypasta is actually pretty good without some filler, some random filler. So yeah, surprisingly, and it's just surprising that I just read a Lion King creepypasta because the Lion Guard is a fan, and the live action Lion King movie comes out this summer. So yeah, I hope you enjoyed this creepypasta, even if you get some shivers from the more creepypastas like the sugar of life is lie quote. That's kind of pretty dark, and I hope you have a pretty good day, because this is going to be the last video for February, because we're going to move on to the springtime tomorrow. So yeah, hope you enjoyed this video, and subscribe for more videos, and like and favorite. So, bye-bye. Long live the king.